Hello and welcome to the Wine with Jimmy channel. Delighted that you have clicked by. All about wine education here. If you're just an enthusiastic amateur, you'll find the information you need. But if you're studying the world of wine, then many of my presentations follow key text and key syllabus to get you through your wine examinations. This series is based on the WSET Level 3. And this is called the Practice Wine Tasting Series for the US. These are wines that have been picked with one of the largest liquor store chains across the US. So my US contingent can get stuck in to practice wine tasting for their examination. Now, if you haven't done so already, please do look at part 1 and part 2. This is the final part in the series, looking at wines number 5 and 6 from a case of 6. And across these wines, these are all available at Total Wine and More, which operates in 28 states across the US, and there are around 270 to 280 stores. You'll see the wines up here on your screen. On this presentation, I'll look at wines on the right-hand side, so wine 5 and 6, which is the Laurent Delaunay, Beaujolais, and also from France, the Chateau Misel Sauternes. They're the two wines we're focusing on. Any comments or questions, please do get in touch. Please do that by commenting on this video below. In the description text there, you'll also find the information about Total Wine and the wines that I have picked for this mini series. So without further ado, let's look at our first wine. In this pair, it's actually going to be the red because the white is a sweet wine. So we are looking here at this bottle, which is the Laurent Delaunay 2023 Les Grabillages Beaujolais, made exclusively from Gamay Noir. It's the AOC of Beaujolais, comes in at 13.5%, and from Total Wine, it's around 12 to 14 bucks per bottle. Tasted in December of 2024. So, as you probably have tasted in the previous pairs, we have had a simple wine before, and this is a red wine that fits that bill. So I'm going to go through the usual motions here. We'll go through appearance, nose, palate, and conclusion. First up, we have the appearance. So this slide, you'll see the bottle on the left-hand side, the top half is the appearance, and the bottom half is the nose. The appearance carries two marks, one for intensity, one for colour. You can put clarity and other observations if you wish, but there are no marks allocated to them in the Level 3 examination. Now, this is an easily transparent red wine, so this is pale in its intensity. There's no aging on this. It's kind of ruby red. There is an argument, certainly with very young, fresh red wines, that they could be purple. And Gamay is one that can display that. But in this wine, I do not find that. So this is pale ruby. Typically with pale ruby wines and most ruby wines, we are going to be looking at normally fairly youthful style wines. But let's back that up. Let's have a look at the nose. So, one thing about Beaujolais is it's not the most concentrated at this level, which is generic Beaujolais, but they are fairly fragrant. They're fairly aromatic due to their production methods, such as semi-carbonic maceration. So you'll find actually quite heightened, lifted aromatics. And that's what we've got here. I love this. I don't think it's pronounced. It lacks the density that red wines can have. So I'm going to accept here medium or medium plus in intensity. It's very fruity and floral. We haven't identified the aromas specifically yet, but it clearly shows to me on the nose that I think this is going to be youthful, as highlighted there. It's also simple, and let's find out exactly why that is. So here you have a slide solely for the primary aromas. So what are they? Lovely, fresh floral notes here. Definitely sort of violet, lavender, rose comes through, and an abundance of red fruit. Certainly, red cherry, raspberry on the nose. I actually think it's much more raspberry here than strawberry. And then you've got red currant, cranberry. They'll actually be more on the palate, those characteristics, but that makes them immediately applicable on the nose due to the level 3 tasting note. So if you do find, as an examiner, if I find something on the nose, it's automatically on the palate. And if I find something on the palate, it's automatically on the nose. So red currant, cranberry, raspberry, and red cherry. Also, that fruit can be fairly sort of liqueur type, not concentrated, but fairly fragrant and sweet. And that's that kirsch. There's a little bit of herbal, which is maybe that sort of lavender tomato leaf character, white pepper, and a bit of cinnamon spice as I've added to the right hand side. Now, if there's something that's not listed by WSET on their systematic approach tasting card, you can add it in as long as it's fairly normal and not something very abstract. That's your primary characters. Secondary through the art of post fermentation. Now, I put bubblegum in here, that could be under primary. I've also got a bit of vanilla here and even a little bit of resinous. Now, they're not from oak. These are actually certainly vanilla and bubblegum compounds produced through semi-carbonic maceration through the fermentation. So they actually both could be and should be listed as a primary. And resinous really is that kind of green characteristic that's coming through, and that's due to maybe just a smidgen of underripeness here. Not too much, just an earthy green character. No tertiary to this whatsoever, so no age. Going back to that nose, that's why this wine is youthful. Now, we call it simple as well. Why? What is the categories for simple? Well, it's the aromas that really is sort of say less than 8, somewhere between 5 and 8. I think a student would be getting here around 7 or 8 for this wine. As an examiner, I've got about 16, 17, but a student will be getting around that number. So this comes in as a simple red wine. Okay, so that gives you the total 7 marks for the nose, 5 for the aromas, including 1 for simple, and then youthful and medium plus or medium intensity. We then taste. Very friendly wine, no sugar, so this is dry on the sweetness chart, as you'll see on your slide. Lots and lots of fresh acidity coming through here. So this is where I put this as high. One thing I haven't marked here is because I want to really talk about this is the level of tannin. Now, Gamay has some fairly structural tannins in the skins, but if it's produced via the semi-carbonic maceration method, the temperatures are lower and there's less contact with the skins. So what you end up getting is generally much lower tannins. I will accept on this wine either low or medium minus tannin, and it's high in acidity. That combination makes a real drinkable, dare I say it, smashable red wine, where the acidity is what really makes you drink more. Tannin often bogs your palate down. So low or medium minus tannin and high in acidity. It comes in at medium alcohol. Now, as there's a lack of tannic structure here, and there's a lack of concentration, I would find this wine as a light-bodied red. And then flavor intensity, it's somewhere like light or medium minus. I actually think it's got better identifiable flavor intensity in comparison to its body. Mm, indeed. It doesn't last long, however. It's somewhere around sort of 8, 9, 10 seconds, so that will be medium minus finish. And this comes in as simple again, because there is not much to write about flavor characteristics. Now, everything highlighted up there totals 8. You get 10 marks on the palate, so we need 2 more for the flavors, and it will be 2 from anything we listed before on the nose. So all those primaries you see up here, and a few of those extras as well, which could also be in the primary section. So just 2 of those. Then the conclusion here. Through the balance, length, intensity, complexity process, let's go through that. We're going to get good as our quality level. Balance, yes. Length, no, because it's medium minus. Intensity, yes. I know it was not hugely intense, but it was clearly more of a defined intensity for the body of the wine. The body of the wine was light, intensity medium minus, so I would give it a mark for that. And it's certainly not complex, as we've identified it as simple. So 2 out of 4 gives you good. Now, due to the lack of tannin, and this being a very fragrant, aromatic style red wine, it's not one that would tend to age too well. It would lose its floral, herbal characters. So this is a drink now, not suitable for further aging. So that's your first wine complete. The second wine, and the final one out of the case of 6 from Total Wine, is called Chateau Misel, Sauternes 2020. So this is from the winery, which is the Castle Misel. Sauternes is the AOC, that's the location. And the grapes here are Semillon, Sauvignon Blanc, and Muscadel. The vintage is 2020. The picture says different, but it's actually 2020. ABV at 13%. And for a half bottle, this is about $30. And on offer, maybe about 27-ish. Tasted again, December 24. Now, the great thing about having this wine in your tasting pack, first of all, it identifies to you that you can get a sweet white in your examination. Secondly, it gives you a nice scale range of colours for your whites. You have had a medium lemon, a pale lemon, and now this is into the gold, as you'll clearly see from the picture. It's also medium. There's a thinner, watery line on the rim. So this comes in at medium gold. That will be partly due to the methodology here of production, which is from botrytized fruit, concentration, for example, and then also lower yields plus then oak and a bit of oxidation. So medium gold. This generally will tell us that the wine should be experiencing some development, and that's certainly what you get. When you smell the Chateau Misel, it's very pronounced. There's lots of character coming through, and it's developing in terms of its development. That means at least one tertiary, and I will be going through that very shortly. Plenty of primary characters here. A lot of fruit. You've got Semillon, Sauvignon, and Muscadel all vying for your attention on the nose. And that's where you get honeysuckle, orange blossom, sort of really lifting off, quince, orange peel, peach, apricot, mango, passion fruit, that's the Sauvignon Blanc, and even pineapple. Some of it's a little bit slightly sultana, raisin-like, and a bit preserved fruit with a bit of minerality. Plenty there for primary. Plenty for secondaries. Brioche, bread, biscuit, toast through yeast autolysis. Vanilla, nutmeg, butterscotch, toast, coconut through the oak. And by law, these wines are aged in new oak before they are released in bottle. So plenty of oak-based characteristics. And then also a bit of marmalade and dried apple for fruit development, toast and honey coming through on the bottle age. So there is some tertiary. Now the marks here, which are 5 for the aromas of the nose. Remember the nose has 7 in total, but 5 for the aromas. The primary, 1 minimum primary, okay, 1 minimum secondary, and 1 minimum tertiary. That's 3 marks. And mark 4 and 5 for anything across primary, secondary, and tertiary. If you think I've gone a bit quick there, of course you have the luxury of pausing this video. Then the taste. It's, of course, a sweet wine. So when you taste this on the palate, it's sweet. Now, some people are like, what makes a luscious wine on that scale? That's your real kind of glycerol sweet wines, like a Pedro Jimenez, for example, from sherry. This is a classic sweet wine, and often the acidity will help with that as well. PX wines are often much lower in acid. This wine has high acidity, which combats the level of sugar. So sweetness, high acidity, medium alcohol, But because of all that sugar, full body, pronounced flavor intensity with a medium plus or long finish. Really lovely compounds there in this rather complex white sweet wine. Flavor characteristics, primary, secondary, and tertiary, 1 mark for each of those to total up your palate to 9. And 1 from any of those primary up on your slide now. Please pause it in your own time, but it's the same as the nose. 1 from any of those secondaries, the same again there from the nose, and the same again for tertiary, 1 of any of those. If you've only got primary and secondaries, the maximum you will get is 2. The quality here, now I think the quality is very close to being outstanding on this Sauternes. I think it needs a little bit more on the complexity front and a little bit more on the length as well to be outstanding. So I'll accept very good to outstanding, but it clearly has plenty of concentration, acidity, weight, and texture. And it's going to age very, very well over the next 10 to 15 years. So this is can drink now, but has potential for aging. That brings me, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, to the end of the 3 pairs. So that's the 6 wines in total. I do hope you've enjoyed these tastings and you've found them useful for your practice examination. Please do let me know your feedback on these tastings, if you enjoyed them, if you can get the wine readily available, for example. It'd be great to hear from you. And please do let us know about what other certainly tastings or theory we can put out there for you. This, of course, has been specifically designed for the US market, which is one of the largest for Wine with Jimmy, hence why we put these 3 videos together. If you do find yourself in the United Kingdom, in old Blighty's green and rolling shores, then come and say hello for a class, glass, or bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Goodbye.